Stimming. It's short for self-stimulatory behavior or stereotypy. Stimming is the repetition of words, phrases, or noises, as well as motor movements and movements with objects. Here are just some examples of stimming: shaking objects, spinning objects, hand flapping, twirling, rocking, pacing, and humming. It was previously thought that autistic stimming was a purposeless behavior, but now we understand that stimming does serve a purpose. So why do autistic people stim? The short answer is that it feels good. Stimming can be helpful for emotional regulation. It can also serve as sensory input and can be helpful when someone is experiencing understimulation. Sometimes stimming can also serve as emotional expression. Some people have different stims that they do when they feel happy and excited, and they have other stims that they do when they're feeling frustrated or upset. Stims that are harmless should not be stopped. If a stim is disruptive or distracting to others, depending on the environment, the person might need to choose a different stim or move to a different environment where they can engage in the behavior. Stims that are harmful, like pressing on your eyes, skin picking, or forcefully bumping into walls, should be redirected to a safer behavior, but a behavior that still allows the person to get the need met that they were seeking in the first place.
Sunlight comes creeping in, illuminates our skin. We watch the day go by, stories of what we did. It made me think of you, it made me think of you.
Here we go.
Man, I got all the flavor bitches say I'm delicious. I'ma have all you motherfuckers laying in ditches. I'ma kill all you rappers, I'ma aim with precision.
Hey, I think this is a genuine question, so I wanted to take a second to talk about it. A lot of people get really angry when I post videos of myself dancing and I say that I'm stimming. This is something that a lot of holistic people cannot wrap their heads around about the autistic community. We love choosing our own language. Within the autistic community, even labeling yourself as autistic is considered an identity and a choice, a personal choice that you can make yourself without a professional's help. Holistic people love to try to keep the gate for us, but we've been very vocal about hating this. The same is true about stimming. Autistic people describe stimming as a lot of different things because it's a self-regulation tool and it's a tool for self-expression. Every time I dance, it's a stim, even if it was choreographed, because it's my power of the language I choose to use. Thanks for listening.
When I was younger, my mom would always tell me, Abby, stop putting your hair up in a ponytail, stop messing with it, like just leave it alone. And it wasn't until I was an adult and got diagnosed with ADHD that I realized that putting up my hair so often was a form of stimming. And what stimming is that it's a way for people with ADHD to kind of self-soothe, like a constant, like repetitive behavior. And it's also a way to remain focused or engaged in a conversation or in an activity. It's also the reason why some people roll back and forth on their hands or they shake their knee a whole lot. It's just a way to repeat specific movements or sounds or anything like that in order to stimulate the brain. Now, everybody can have like a stim, but with people with ADHD, sometimes it can just get a little bit harder to control. And I remember when I would play volleyball in high school, and every single time I had a minute of a break, I would be putting my hair up. So much so that my coach would yell at me and say, stop messing with your hair on the court. My parents would be like, Abby, you're getting distracted. You're playing with your hair too much on the court. Like, just pick to one hairstyle. And again, it wasn't until I was an adult diagnosed with ADHD that I realized that putting my hair up in a bun or just playing with it in general constantly was a form of stimming for me. It was self-soothing, and it was a way to kind of stay engaged and just like, you know, just do something that was stimulating for my senses, you know, but it just got harder to control. And people would ask me why I would keep doing it, and I didn't have an answer for them. But now with some research, I do have an answer for them. It's called stimming.
My son has autism and he has extreme sensory needs. He used to spin like this all day long, and he used to spin so fast where he would run into furniture, walls, or even his brothers and sisters. And sometimes he would get hurt or his siblings would get hurt. Me and my husband were desperate to find something to help him, and we landed on the dizzy disc. This dizzy disc is not like a sit and spin. You self-propel it with your body, and you can go as fast or as slow as your body wants. I am so grateful this disc exists because my son truly needed this to be safe. Because let me just tell you, we've tried every disc on the market and this one is special. It's one of a kind and I highly recommend it, and I'm so grateful for it.
There is nothing wrong with stimming in public. You might get odd stares, or people might even make fun of you. But stimming is always valid, and you should always try your best to do what feels right for you.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's okay. I'm just so happy. Okay.
I don't know what it is, but I think I just found my new hyperfixation.
I don't know who needs to hear this one, so I'ma just say it like this. You're doing well, you're doing better. You'll get the goals, you won't wait forever. I hope you find peace in this lifetime. I hope you find yourself in the right mind. Listen, be that bitch or be that guy who don't take shit from anyone alive. I'm trusting you, you're on a path. You're first in line and you're never last. Was that corny? That was corny, huh? Alright. I mean, someone will like it.
Last warning, do not touch uh-oh.
Tommy, stop being sexist.
I'm not.
So Happy Hands is really just my youngest son's hand flapping stim that he's always used when he's really excited. That's why we call it Happy Hands. Because since the time he was itty bitty, if he got really excited about something, them little hands would just get to going. And even before he actually was diagnosed, we'd look at the Happy Hands and be like, yeah, there's that touch of the autism, but look how cute he is. Look at his little hands go. So me and my husband started calling it his Happy Hands. So from then on, every time he'd get overly excited and we knew he might break a rule because of how excited he was, we'd tell him to use his Happy Hands, like, hey bud, don't run, use your Happy Hands. Because contrary to what a lot of holistic people, mental health professionals included, used to think, stimming is really just another tool for these children to use in order to emotionally regulate. So instead of trying to discourage my kids from stimming or teach them to hide their stimming, I teach them to utilize their stimming as tools. When we're talking about kids on the autism spectrum and the big emotions that they feel that they struggle to regulate with, we got to look at it as if it's a pressure release valve. Think of a tea kettle that you put on the stove and it gets hot and then whistles. If that daggum part that whistles wasn't there, that shit would go boom. These autistic kids are just like that daggum tea kettle. You put energy in, energy's got to be able to come back out or it's going to go boom. And the last thing we want these kids to do is explode all the time. So we give them tools to be able to regulate and let some of that energy out. Preventing stimming is actually extremely cruel to the autistic child and the autistic adult. Because, like, imagine that you had all these big feels going on and you weren't allowed to get them out at all. Those feelings turn into energy and then it's bound up inside of you and it becomes physically painful. A lot of parents, they'll actually find if they allow their child to stim and they teach their child how to stim in correct ways that are not going to hurt them, they'll find that their child actually explodes less often. So if I'm dealing with a child that has a stim that is self-harming, like my oldest used to just beat the shit out of himself, and the youngest will do that too, and so will the middle one, I start handing out rubber bands. Like, here, put this on your wrist. You want to feel pain? Flick the shit out of yourself. They get the pain that they need in order to self-regulate those emotions, but I also get them to not leave bruises on themselves. It's a win-win and everybody in the situation's happy. These are primarily kids that they struggle to communicate, which also means to communicate their feelings and their emotions. So taking away that stim, you're legitimately taking away how they communicate their emotions. Because if you pay attention, most of these stims, they actually change from mood to mood with each kid. You'll be able to pinpoint what's their happy stims, what's their mad stims, what's their sad stims, what's their overwhelmed stims, and then you'll be able to utilize those as tools to help them regulate.